everybody. Welcome to another episode of Creators Outlet. We welcome back Mr. Michael Whalen from Correct-Handed Comics, the left hand.
Hey, William, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
Doing all right, man.
What have you been up to since we last spoke at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. I finished up my second one-shot called I Won't Stop, and it came out about 2 months ago, and it's doing real well. People are really enjoying it, and I am about to finish up my third one-shot called Will Aliens Do My Homework? It's actually coming out next week, so I'm pretty super excited about that. And we have issue 14 of The Offspring coming out early, probably late January of 2021. So we're rocking and rolling.
Keeping busy in the year of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So, first of all, we want to say rest in peace to Mr. Jeremy Bulloch, the original Boba Fett from the movies that I got to meet a couple of times and have an autograph somewhere in this mess. My entire collection and stuff, cheers, was thankfully delivered to me in a full 22-foot-long trailer the other day. So I've got my comic collection back. I've got my toy collection back, and a whole bunch of memories from the past and stuff from, pictures and just stuff from my daughter growing up. Before she used to tell me where to go and stuff like that. Teenagers.
That's a daughter's job sometimes, right? Especially
yeah.
They'll tell you where to go when they're teenagers, and then when they're 30, they'll tell you to come closer.
Yeah. It's like, so I don't want to do any spoilers, but I have to ask, have you
I have not seen Mandalorian yet. So
you have not seen it?
No, I have not seen it. It's on the agenda for tonight.
I just watched it for the 5th time today.
Oh my gosh. I keep hearing things, and every time I see something, scroll past it.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it yet. I think I have an idea, unfortunately, of what's going to happen, but I want to go in as fresh as I can. So I probably should have watched it before I came on with you, because I knew it was going to come up.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good, and I'm just like in love with Gina Carano, so
she's a good reason to watch the show.
And I didn't even recognize her. Like, I found a video of her online from her fighting days to her modeling at Maxim, and I was like, wow. And now she's thick as a brick house, and she looks more like an MMA fighter than she ever did before. So.
Yeah. She's a reason to tune in, that's for sure.
And she's been in some great roles, over the years, some like great action flicks. But it looks like from the announcements that they made, because there were like 1 billion of them from all the Marvel announcements and then all the Star Wars announcements. Mm-hmm. So they're going to do like a billion shows and/or movies for each of them.
Yeah, sure.
But it looks like Gina's getting her own spinoff.
Nice.
There's another spinoff, but I won't tell you because
I have an idea, but yeah, don't tell me.
And they're actually doing one that I am very excited for. It was the last one on the list, but Rogue One.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like, they're gonna do like a little Rogue Squadron action. I'm like, that'll be cool.
They're gonna suck every morsel of story they can get out of it. They're gonna get out of it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Wring it out.
Wring it dry. I keep hearing on the internet. There's another show that I want to talk, a space drama that I'd like to talk about also. But I keep hearing Sebastian Stan, who is by all accounts a spitting image of a young Mark Hamill. Is coming back, or fans are saying he should come back to play a young Luke Skywalker for some of these shows and movies that are coming out. And if you see the pictures of them side by side he's a dead-on ringer. So I don't see why they wouldn't do that. He's already, in the club being, Winter Soldier. So why wouldn't they use him at least for really short like bring him in and bring him out kind of thing, move the story forward, and then take Luke out again. But I think that's a heck of an idea that people could really get behind.
Yeah, I know they announced the other week that Hayden Christensen's going to come back and
I saw that
reprise his role of the way too short Darth Vader.
Yeah. Was that in because that was in a Marvel, was that Spider-Man, or was that the new Doctor Strange movie that he was going to be doing that?
I'm not sure.
I think because I heard, maybe I read it wrong, but it read because Doctor Strange is going to be that into the multiverse thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because Doctor Strange is going to be in the new Spider-Man, they're probably going to bring some of that multiverse stuff in there, because I think it's Tobey Maguire, Andrew, the other Spider-Man, I can't remember his last name.
Oh, right? Garfield, yeah.
Thank you. Andrew Garfield are making some sort of appearance in there. So that's what I read. Maybe I read it wrong, because it kind of took me aback. I'm like, really? They're kind of bringing all the franchises together.
If they do that, which would basically be a live action Into the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
They have got to include a live action of the meme where the Spider-Mans are pointing at each other with slightly different costumes, with all different costumes. Yeah,
I think that's a hell of an idea. That's $1 million idea right there.
They have to do that. I'm like, if they don't do that, the whole thing's going to be a wash. It might as well be like Spider-Man 3.
If they don't do it, the whole thing was a waste of time. Why even bother doing it?
I mean, exactly. Why would you put those 3 in there if not to interact that? Because that will literally blow up the internet in the comic book geek.
They need to have a battle between Mary Jane's and Gwen Stacy's. Have them fight each other.
I think you downloaded the wrong movie.
Oh no! Well, either way, I'm happy. Whatever.
So that's
there's another space drama that I'd like to give a little bit of time to, and it's all rumors and conjecture and hearsay. But I saw the rumor, that seems what it only is, about a Firefly reboot.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Bunch of hogwash. And I see at this point why they're not going to just do a second season with their main cast, because I've bet a lot of them are like, I'm not going backwards. I'm not going to do that. But I thought, this was my idea. You tell me what you think. Well, I thought if they did a animated series like a la Star Trek, the animated series, but with the original cast, so it wouldn't really be like a backbreaking thing for the cast. They could come in and just do voiceovers, but we could get the second season as fans that we wanted, and maybe even something completely different because it's animation, and it wouldn't be that. It would be time consuming, clearly, but it wouldn't be such a burden on the studio, because they could do the animation and they could do anything they wanted without the restraints of, which there aren't really restraints in special effects nowadays, but they could do something like that. And I think that'd be a good nod to the Star Trek animated series, and being able to do something with Firefly, the original cast, to get that second series, but not have to actually have the cast in the room. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, because for everything involved in doing voiceover work for the animated studio, they could, all these people that because it's been the year that it is, all these people probably had mini studios set up in their house, and they could just record it and send it in.
I think it's a done deal. I think if somebody said animated series, everybody would jump at it. What actor doesn't do voiceover work at this point, right?
I know. It's like, it's crazy not to do voiceover work.
Yeah, just look at the Next Generation cast with Gargoyles. It ended up the whole cast just did Gargoyles.
Yeah, and and Michael Dorn's done just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I see him in a lineup for another kind of like intelligent sci-fi series.
Yeah.
Because he's a great actor, and now he's older and seasoned, but he's still got that deep voice. So
it's kind of like if correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like Chekhov in Babylon 5. Like they're kind of pulling out his sci-fi cred to be able to go into a new series, which I think is a great idea. Sure, why not?
Now that you're older, Walter, we're going to have you go in and be a complete dick.
Yeah, it'll be great. You're not the cute guy on the bridge, the Davy Jones lookalike on the bridge anymore. You're the old jerk.
Yeah. You're going to have to put a little bit of Spock in there, a little bit of drunk Scotty, and a lot of McCoy.
But we're not going to make you say nuclear vessels anymore. So we're not going to make you say nuclear vessels.
No more fake Russian accent, and
yeah,
it's there's a lot of good stuff coming up all around. There's so you've got a book that just came out, and you've got another book that's coming out just a few weeks away.
Yeah, days away. I want to, as I'm a teacher. I don't know if you know that. So the last couple months have been quite the adventure, and we are on full remote where I'm from right now, where I'm living right now in upstate New York. We're on full remote, so it is. You would think that a lot of people are probably like, oh, that's making your job so much easier because you don't have to be in the classroom, but we do, and we're still going full remote. So it's actually more work, believe it or not, as a full remote teacher, because it's just trying to communicate with all these different kids in all these different places instead of having them come into one room, right? So my plans of getting it out before Christmas were shaken a little bit over the last couple that but I think I'm going to be able to pull it off. I think I'm going to be able to pull it off to have it out before New Year's. So I'm really excited about it. The book, I just finished a couple pages today that I think are some of the best pages I've ever come with. It's fun. It's action adventure. It's drawn from my life as a teacher on some level, except for the alien invasion part. But I'm really super excited about it. And it's action adventure comedy, everything that I love as a fan. So I'm hoping that people enjoyed this one also.
Awesome. Yeah. I can imagine the teaching part has taken a toll.
There's a few more gray hairs. I don't know if you can see them in the light here, but
they're highlighted by the overhead fluorescence there.
I'm making them stand out more than I should.
Yeah, you get all the kids to sign in Zoom, and their icons are there, but they've already gone back in the other room to get on the PS5.
Yeah,
and so you have to mark them absent when they're not answering questions after you ask them 5 times in a row.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I have a good group of kids and a good group of parents and a good school that I work for that really backs the teachers and really supports the parents and the kids to be able to work in this strange environment. There are a lot of parents, that aren't happy with the situation. A lot of teachers aren't happy with the situation. That's completely normal because it's a weird situation. But I think that for when we're done with it, which I think will be by the end of this year. I hope we won't have to do this next year, with all the COVID stuff being done, hopefully by summer of this year, by next year, 2021. I think that everybody will kind of, be able to breathe a sigh of relief and be able to know that go back to just having fun in the classroom with kids. And I think that's something that my district does really well. The kids do great. Parents are really supportive, great teaching staff. So it's one of those things that you're like, right now is the pits, but in 5 months, we'll look back on this and we'll say, oh, no, it wasn't that bad. And now we're doing really well.
Well, once you can get your governor to quit murdering, senior citizens in nursing homes, you'd be a step ahead.
I don't know anything about that, Will.
Yeah.
That's none of my business.
But it's just a weird time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But before we get too much more into this, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, SpinWiz Comics, at spinwizcomics.com. They are a web and indie comic discovery platform. You can download the app on both iOS and Android completely free, and you can read close to 500 free comics from independent creators and webcomic creators alike. And here's just a quick look of what it could look like on your smart device. Ta-da! So remind us, because you've got the one-shots and you've got a very long series as far as independents go.
Yeah, I'm cranking them out pretty good here. I'm usually I try as a one-man band, not so much anymore for this next issue of The Offspring, but I've been able to get out a book every 2 months. And that's a colored book for my ongoing series, The Offspring. So I've got issue 13 that came out right at the end of summer in June. That's the beginning of summer. In August, that just came out, issue 13. And I have collected issues 1 through 4 in volume 1, issues 5 through 9 in volume 2. And I just put out volume 3 that has issues 10, 11, and 12. And then, I'm sorry, that's still wrong. 11, 12, and 13. And it also has our first one-shot in there, too, as a backup bonus story, The Shady Lady. So it's a whole story, 3-part story of The Offspring and our first one-shot, Shady Lady, in one volume. And you can find all that stuff at correcthandedcomics.com. We have our novel, my novel that I wrote. And if you're a fan of Westerns, that has action, adventure, comedy, all that stuff. Everything you'd want in a Western, but with some, a contemporary twist on some of the stuff. This is my novel you can find on correcthandedcomics.com, The Last Ride to Tyburn. I think it's got some really good, exciting, funny stuff in it also. So I wrote this book. It was the first book I've ever written, and I kind of wrote it just to see if I could do it. And I can't believe how... was surprised at how much I enjoyed sitting in front of a computer typing away, and how much I laughed at my own jokes in the process of writing the story. So I think it's something that people who enjoy Westerns, anything from Jimmy Stewart or the Duke, or Dean Martin from back in the day, Rio Bravo, that kind of stuff, would enjoy this because it pulls a lot from those Western ideas and those Western tropes. But like I said, with a little contemporary spin on the end. And I think the ending is something that people will really enjoy.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember last time you were on, after showing the book, reminded me that we were talking about Shady Lady, because it was just getting ready to come out. Like a couple weeks after we talked, so and I get to read a little bit of that, and it was pretty damn good.
Oh, good, thank you, I appreciate that.
So and how many were you going 18 issues with the your superhero action adventure book?
But the ongoing, I just published 13. And then I'm taking a break. 13 was like the end of the season, like the season finale, where it was really pushing the story. The last 3 issues, 11, 12, and 13, I call the Landslide Saga. And it really pushed the story forward to where I wanted it to be for what I'm calling season 2, which is going to be issue 14, coming out in late January. I've got a great new colorist, Chris McCauley, who has worked with the Bram Stoker estate on Dracula stuff. He's worked with Marvel. He's worked with Boom. He's worked with a bunch of people. He did the cover of issue 13. And he's an amazing creator, an amazing colorist, and I'm super excited to have him coloring The Offspring. So issue 14 that comes out in late January really propels the story forward. It takes right off where issue 13 ended. And it starts to get, if you thought issues 1 through 13 were bonkers with adventure and crazy stuff, issue 14 sets off a chain of events that's going to last through the entire season and the entire run, really, the book. that takes it in places that, as a writer, I was super excited about going. We jump directly into a time travel story that takes them into the Civil War, which is going to put a spotlight on, even though it's taking place during the Civil War, it's going to be putting a spotlight on a lot of issues that are happening now in our time right now. And it's always funny to me, and anybody who's a fan of history notices that we as a world keep kind of making the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. If you're a fan of history and historical events, you kind of see the pattern as you move forward through, as you move backwards as a fan of history. So it's kind of taken some of those ideas and putting these characters into past events, into past lives, but shining again a contemporary light on some of the issues that we're still dealing with in the future, the 21st century. So it's been a really fun time writing it, and I can't wait to show people. I've got the first half of issue 14 already done, and we're trucking through the last half of it right now, and it's going to be really cool. I can't wait for people to see it.
And you're still self-publishing and self-distributing everything?
Everything, yep.
I know there's, I don't know if I mentioned to you last time, I know of 2 stores that are super supportive of indie comics. Mm-hmm. And one's down in Florida, The Collective.
Okay.
And the other one is in Texas, Jen King store, Space Cadets.
Awesome.
They both have like there's like an entire rack for like new arrival like indie comics.
That's awesome.
And The Collective does like a spotlight on indie books and puts them like right up at the front of the store at the counter so people can see them and check them out as they're whipping the cash out of their pockets.
Sure, yeah. It's indie comics time right now. I think that there's so many great creators out there and so many great writers and artists that are putting their heart and soul into their own stories, and the big boys, they'll do just fine, and people will keep reading them, and I'll keep reading them, and everybody else will keep reading them, and those stories will keep coming. But I think that now's a good time to be able to be an indie creator, because there's so many different stories coming on. There's such a spotlight on indie creators right now that it's fun to be able to be just a very, very small part of that community, to be able to see some of the awesome stories coming out, to be able to be like I said, a tiny little dot, a tiny little speck on the vastness of those indie creators is really cool for me, and I hope to continue to make stories and grow and be in places like, I think 2021. I'm going to try to be able to even expand my base a little bit more by going into some of those comic book shops that I haven't been able to get into yet.
Oh yeah, that's always a good plan.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that scares me about 2021 is everybody keeps talking about, well, that's when Mad Max happened, right?
Well, I think, what's funny to me is that when I was a kid, when we were kids, when we watched sci-fi movies that went into the future, you had 2 possibilities. You had utopia, or you had dystopia, the craziness where it's just ridiculous madness. And I think that that future that we saw as kids in the 70s and 80s is now. Like, all those movies took place now, with the time that we are right now. And I think that it's funny to me that we see the choices we make, and we see where we can go as societies, and we're still fumbling and stumbling along the way. I'm not really sure where the barrier is, whether it's mental, or whether it's leadership, or whether it's with society itself. I don't know. But I think we have opportunities in the next 10 years to be able to up the ante on what we see as the future now in the 21st century.
Well, here's to hoping no time soon anybody rides their horse, down the waterline in New York and sees the Statue of Liberty, halfway up out of the dirt.
Well, let's hope not. But let's hope that's one of the futures that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
You know what I'm hoping for? There's an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where they go down to a planet and everybody's in the white, pristine outfits and everybody's running and everybody's fit. And Wesley Crusher says there are some games that I'm not ready for, or something like that. That's the utopia that I'm looking for.
Oh yeah,
that episode. I can't remember the name of the episode.
I just saw it the other day.
Yeah, and then Wesley, gets put on trial because he's going to be put to death for flying through a flower bed. So that part maybe not so much, but the rest of it looks really good.
It's amazing how perturbed the actor that played Wesley gets when you ride your wheelchair by his table at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Just look at him and yell, "Shut up, Wesley."
He gets perturbed. Really? You'd think he'd just smile and move along with his day.
Because he's only probably heard that like 80 million times,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny to me is the character itself. It's funny looking back now, 30 years later, as fans, we can all kind of critique what he did in the writing and the acting, whatever it is. And Will Wheaton is clearly a good actor. Stand By Me is an amazing movie, and he did great in like Big Bang Theory and other movies that he's been in. But I think that the problem is they tried to make him too young, and he was always as a character, he was always so defensive, right? Like every word he said was, "Oh, I didn't say that," or "Oh, that's not what I meant," or "Oh, I'm gonna save the ship now," like all that kind of stuff. But if he would have delivered the lines a little bit more, with a little bit more wisdom beyond his years, I don't think that character would have ended up the way he did. I think that character might have maybe lasted a little bit longer than he did.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
Well, I know I've seen him on I don't think he's still doing it, but for a while he was doing his own YouTube show, Tabletop.
I've seen a few episodes. Yeah, it's good.
And I kept watching it, hey, playing games are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I have no one to play games with, so I was just, living vicariously through Will Wheaton.
Sure.
And, kind of like the guys on Big Bang Theory. And there were two episodes that stood out to me. One, they were short one guest. So he had his wife come on set.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's his wife? Wow, he did pretty damn good for himself.
Yeah, hey.
And another one, because it was usually it was either like very close friends of his that would come on, or it was all actors and actresses. And one episode that stood out to me, and I've watched it a few times because I found it entertaining, was they were playing Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
Drunk.
Oh no.
Like the girls got hammered. One of the actresses had a couple of male friends that she was hanging out with that weekend, and she said they were from either Ireland or Scotland, and she sent them out to the liquor store, and they came back with like a big bottle of whiskey or something. And
you can never trust the Irish to go to the liquor store. Don't let the Irish go to the liquor store.
And
they'll bring back the good stuff.
I know I am Irish, so and they got pretty lit, and the stuff they were coming up with was quite entertaining to say the least. So
I bet. I had an idea for, and I'm just giving away free ideas tonight, I guess. But I had an idea for a Star Trek spinoff that was called Star Trek Black Ops. And the idea was a Black Ops program under the Federation, and they would do like some of the dirty work that you didn't quite see on the fancy starships and the bright uniforms. And my idea was that Wesley Crusher would be the captain of this ragtag group of starship or Federation officers. And I thought in the pilot episode, what would be the thing that would solidify him as a badass? Super smart, all that stuff, knows all the rules and regulations, knows everything about everything. But you also need to make him like action adventure, like a mix between Data and Kirk. You know what I mean? Like he has all the answers, but he'll also rough it up with you. So I thought if their first mission was to save Worf from some kind of thing, and if Wesley Crusher goes into a camp or something that Worf is being held at, and Worf looks up and goes, "Wesley Crusher, you saved me," that would solidify him as sci-fi as the biggest BA Star Trek captain of all time, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Except then we'd be waiting for the wavy lines to come through. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you, but I think it'd be an interesting thing to be able to see Wesley Crusher as a captain of a Black Ops Federation team. Somebody out there should write that. Maybe I will.
They had well, you might as well. They had that Section 37 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They used in the Enterprise series, and I think they used it a little bit in the space station one there, Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, they had a little bit of that darker idea in Deep Space Nine. But I think something like that could go in so many different ways. And I guess they're trying to do a little bit with Picard, where it's not the Federation, where they're digging a little deeper into some of the darker bowels of the Federation, the darker bowels of that universe. So it would be a great jumping off point. I mean, if you had Wesley Crusher see Captain Picard and say, "I'm going to be in charge of the Black Ops unit of Federation," and Picard says, "Great, go do it. Shut up, Wesley."
Because what good is it without
exactly
telling Wesley to shut up?
He gets onto the turbo. He gets onto the transporters, and Captain Picard looks up and says, "Shut up, Wesley. Energize." And he just energized well. Like perfect. It's writing itself.
Just send them off.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Picard, they are moving Picard and that other
Discovery
that confused Star Trek show to Netflix.
Oh, are they really?
So they're moving past seasons to Netflix.
Nice. I think that's a swell idea. I saw Discovery season 1. I think I got 2 or 3 episodes of season 2. And it's okay. I mean, I got it. Yeah, I got it. It's got some stuff. But yeah, it was a little bit in some places hard to follow, and maybe that's just because I'm not too bright. But I see what they're trying to do, and I think it'll if it's one of those series that changes and grows and gets better as it goes. I mean, if we gave up on Next Generation after the first season because it wasn't that great. I mean, think of the 6 years of awesome stories we wouldn't have gotten. Well, 5 years of awesome stories that we wouldn't have gotten if we gave up on Next Generation that quick, right?
Yeah, I just think it's they kind of lost me right away with the whole thing they did with the Klingons.
Well, it's one of those. Who I like? I like the actress who plays Pike. I can't Anson Mount. I can't believe I remembered his name. But he was also in, not that I'm plugging for other people's shows or anything, but he was in Hell on Wheels that was on AMC a couple years ago.
Yeah, I watched that. That was really good.
Yeah, that was a great Western kind of westward expansion story. And I like him. I think he makes a great Captain Pike. And I think I actually haven't gotten to him yet in the parts that I've watched. So I'm excited. If they're putting stuff on Netflix, I'm going to watch it. I'll take the time to watch it.
And of course, Chief O'Brien was also in that too. Yet again, making connections. He only plays bad guys unless it's a Star Trek series.
Yeah, that's what I like about him. I like that you see Chief O'Brien, but you're like, oh yeah, he can play Irish badass also.
It's like He's such an evil SOB. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline.
Oh yeah.
I've got an entire short box so far this year, all filled up with indie stuff.
Yeah.
So you know, I've been reading, getting stuff in. I've had to as of late, I've had to switch over to digital on a few of them just so I could read them and get reviews up for them.
Sure.
But you know, because you know, I'm coming up to the holidays with a teenager, and you know, living on stuck living on Social Security. I'm you know, cutting it to the bone, so I'm going through boxes and you know, getting stuff together and selling stuff and finding stuff that I never knew I had. And I did an unboxing the other day, and I got a box over here that has McFarlane Toys written on the side of it.
Oh.
And it said Marv from Sin City. So nice. I'm thinking I'm opening this box up and I'm going to find the original Marv in the electric chair that you can literally throw the switch and watch him fry.
Yeah.
I did not find Marv.
Who was it? Was it that yellow bastard?
No, it was actually it wasn't a sealed box because when I went into the coma back in 2016, all my friends and family get together and they just started packing up all my stuff. And my buddy Mike that I worked with kept all this stuff in storage until I just got it back the other week. But instead, it had a variety of Kenner Star Wars figures in it.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, not the original Kenner, but you know the newly released Kenner. But you know, it had some Shadows of the Empire figures, and
hey,
you know, there's a Boba Fett in there. There was a 2-pack of Ugnaughts, and one of them looked like a certain character from earlier on in this season of The Mandalorian. So I'm like, well, I'm keeping them. You know, and I opened up another box, and that was a full like inner case of DC Direct Unmasked second series.
Awesome.
Which had a Clark Kent Superman. So he's got the shirt and the coat open up like this, and you see that. But he comes with the glasses that you can actually attach to his face.
That's cool. And
then he's got a clip-on tie with a shirt attached to it. So it snaps around his neck just to cover up the blue of the super suit.
Nice.
Then there was and all the others have like swappable heads. So there's like a classic blue and gray Batgirl.
Nice.
You know, with the Barbara long flowing red hair, and then you know the same thing but in the mask.
That's Barbara Gordon with the red flowing hair.
Yeah, and there's a Batman Bruce Wayne black and gray costume from a few years ago.
Nice.
There's a Martian Manhunter, one with pointy Martian head, and one with classic, you know.
You can take off the head and put on the new head.
Yeah, so you can take off the new head and put on the old like 1940s head with the big Cro-Magnon eyebrows there.
Nice. I think Martian Manhunter is probably the most underrated DC hero of all time, with the exception of Blue Beetle. I think that Martian Manhunter is the most underrated DC hero of all time. He should be a household name, just like Superman or Batman. But for some reason, maybe I don't know why, but I think he's a pretty awesome character with so much, even now, untapped potential. That I don't know why he hasn't hit into the zeitgeist.
I know it's just weird. He's had he's gotten popular enough where they've had multiple miniseries with him,
Yeah.
or full ongoing series, and then the miniseries either get cut short, and the ongoing, of course, get just outright canceled. But
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where it loses its steam or where it's not connecting with the general audience, but and then you have things like him in like Young Justice, or even Supergirl, when he showed up in Supergirl, the WB show, which quite frankly, not because it wasn't a good show or anything, but I stopped watching it. I think that I wasn't the demographic because I'm an old man who grew up in the 70s and 80s. And but when Martian Manhunter showed up on that first season of Supergirl, I thought it was great. I thought I was excited to be able to see what they did with what they were going to do with the character. And then I did stop watching. So that probably tells you what I thought about it.
Especially since he stole the name of a certain person who ends up being Cyborg Superman.
Yeah, that didn't really make any sense to me. Why would he continue to be Hank Henshaw when everybody knew who he was? Why would he continue having that alter ego? I don't know. I don't know.
I was more excited to see Linda Carter until I found out she was an alien.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Linda Carter, human, Linda Carter, alien, I will take it.
Well, it makes sense that she's an alien because she pretty much hasn't changed all that much. Yes, I know plastic surgery works wonders, but and I just saw there was some kind of online article that had her older daughter and herself side by side.
Yeah.
And they literally look like twins. You have to look very close to see, but
yeah, good for her.
And I thought it was funny because some of the stuff I was opening were old Loot Crate boxes, and one of them was, the theme of it was Supergirl.
Nice.
But it was before WB started putting all the DC shows together. And if you remember, the first season of Supergirl was on CBS.
Yeah.
And then they canceled it, and W was like, we'll take it.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they?
We'll take it. We'll put it with this stuff.
Yeah.
Makes sense to us. And then they just kept going and going and going.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool because I looked in the bottom of the box. There was a variant to Supergirl number 1, an early John Boy Myers cover.
No.
That I didn't know I had. So I was like, cool.
That's awesome.
I went to the next one. I opened up that one, and it was when way back when Marvel put out the Vader Down miniseries. Mike Mayhew did a homage cover of like Vader's helmet in the background and some other stuff, and they had an exclusive with Mayhew Studios for a black and white version and a color version, both in this box. I go, well, that's cool. I can sell that.
How'd it go? Did you sell it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think that the market for things like that, and I'm not going to lie to you, as a way past middle-aged man, there are parts of me that from time to time want to buy back my childhood, and I'm sure it happens to every person in the history of peoplehood. But I don't know if you can see it, my He-Man thing right there. So I went into a toy shop that I saw. This was last year, 2 years ago. Had a He-Man and a Battle Cat. Every accessories readily available. It was good to go. It wasn't in package or anything, clearly. But I went back a year later and said, "Hey, do you still have that He-Man and Battle Cat?" Sold it. So I was, my 12-year-old self was pretty bummed that day. But yeah, it's I think those kind of things are great, and I think anything that puts a spotlight on these characters is always a positive thing. You know what I'm looking forward to is the Clark and Lois, the new Superman show coming out. I like the guy playing Superman. I like the girl playing Lois. I can't remember any of their names right now, but I think that's going to be fun. My only concern, again, as somebody who knows nothing, is that they're going to have twin teenage boys. And I was actually, when I heard the announcement for the show, I was excited that Lois and Clark were going to be parents, but I was kind of hoping to see like toddler Jonathan and not teenage John. You know what I mean? Like as a father myself and seeing all that stuff, I was like, oh, we're going to see Superman change diapers, or we're going to see Superman, taking their kid to preschool. But they've already fast forwarded into teenage years, and I know why they did it. Kids are, for the story and to get them into the action and everything. But if they did like a Super Sons in that show and them being a little bit younger, even like 10 or 11 or 12, I think would have been super fun. So I hope they're not missing the boat by having the sons be too old.
Well, maybe they're doing a Brian Michael Bendis and like, well, let's ruin it from the get-go. And I know Super Sons is so popular, and the second series is even more popular, but we're going to cancel that so I can age him to be about 16 or 17, and then we're going to send him off to the Legion of Superheroes, and then I'm going to ruin that book too.
Yeah, it's funny. It seems like they want to fast forward to what they think is the good stuff, but they don't realize that, or I say they, whoever they are, don't realize that the good stuff is in the process, is in the journey of 75 years of a character. So starting Superman and Lois with a baby, and having to be a baby for a few years, and then slowly into a toddler, and then slowly into a preteen, after 25 or 30 years, is the story that I think a lot of people would want to see, and a story that I would chime in for.
But they're not that great on continuity, but you can let a little continuity go if the history of the characters is respected. But they're not doing that either. So,
well, and I think that anybody in their situation who has, like I said, 100 years of stories and characters, the continuity is gonna fall apart at one point.
Oh yeah,
forever. You know what I mean? So I think if and I have nothing against any creators that are doing things that they enjoy and writing stories that they enjoy. They're not writing for me. They're writing for themselves to be able to show stories that they want to tell, telling stories that they and with these characters that they want to tell. And some of the ideas or the concepts kind of falling through the cracks from time to time is going to happen. But yeah, it just does seem like they want to speed up too fast too, and not play the long game as a creator, which can be hard because a lot of creators know, especially the big boys, know they might only have 12 issues. So there is no long game. It's I got to tell my story, and my story is a teenage son of Clark Kent, so I better get there real fast.
In recent months, they might only have 2 issues to tell their whole story before that book is canceled. So
there doesn't seem to be much patience to be able to say it's not making $1 million right now, but I like what you're doing. Let's keep moving forward. We have faith in the concept. Let's keep moving forward and see what happens. And you don't want to say that for 20 years, but you can say it for 2, right? For a company like Disney or Warner Brothers or these companies that may not have the pockets of infinity, but still can afford to tell a good story even if it doesn't sell $1 million worth of product.
Yeah, except they don't want to do that because Disney wants to flood the market with everything, and Warner Brothers wants to keep up doing that as well. But since Warner Brothers is now owned by AT&T, AT&T just wants to cut. They're notorious. They're a notorious penny pinching company.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we paying people? Don't we have machines that can do this for free?
Well, I think that unfortunately, when you put money and creativity in the same boat, unfortunately, money will now in our society anyway, money will win the day. And creativity will be pushed aside. How can you tell the story faster, better, and cheaper? Maybe not better, or maybe not better, but how can you tell the story cheaper and sacrifice quality storytelling or storytelling that will stand the test of time rather than make $1 million or $1 million isn't even that much anymore. $1 billion. How about that?
Yeah. It's sad that it's, that it's come to that. It's like, of course we know you want to make money. Everybody wants to make money.
Sure.
But, the comics themselves aren't a huge money-making prospect, but now you have to actually search hard through your TV guide to find something that is not a comic book property to watch on TV nowadays.
Yeah. And I think the comic books are missing the boat. The comic book industry is missing the boat to not put. I think I've said this on another podcast. We were just spitfiring about the industry, and one thing that I think, and maybe some places do it, and I just haven't seen it, is that putting a comic book rack inside of movie theaters when they're back open and everybody's going to them. But if you put Thor and Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Plastic Man, Mighty Mouse, whatever, it doesn't matter. Put those comics inside of the movie theater, I would bet that a 10-year-old, 5-year-old, 20-year-old, 40-year-old walking out of a Superman or Thor movie would say, yeah, let me pick up a couple comic books. Why not? I think that's a boat that's being missed in the industry right now, to be able to put eyes on the actual books that started these properties out that are making billions of dollars for these companies, but people don't. Marvel does, I think, a pretty good job of staying pretty true to the characters from the comic books. I don't think DC does. I think DC strays too far from the source material, and not in the best way. I still haven't seen a solid Superman movie since Superman 2, in my mind. But I think that putting comic books in those places that people would walk out after seeing a comic book movie and say, yeah, let me buy a couple comic books. Why not? I'll show them to my kid. I'll show them to my cousin, and we'll enjoy these characters and stories past staring at them on the big screen.
Well, I've talked to some indie creators that have actually gone into their local theaters and set up a table with their own product.
Smart.
When a new like, say, Infinity War or any or Wonder Woman or Aquaman or Shazam or something was opening up, they're like, we don't want anything from you. We'll set up in the corner and we'll just display it. We'll display all like our comic book wares. You got a comic book movie opening up, and it might draw some more people in.
That's a great idea.
A lot of theaters won't do that because they're owned by a huge corporation that if you do it in one, you got to do it in all of them, kind of things.
Yeah.
They're not like individually owned, but if you're lucky enough to own, live in a town that maybe not a mom and pop, but it's a franchise that are owned by like some local people or whatever, and you have a shot of being able to go in and do something like that.
Sure.
And I know Victor said him and a bunch of people that have done stuff with him would set up T-shirts, original sketches. They would actually do sketches there if people wanted them to, and some books they had done, and they would pretty much sell out of just about everything.
It's awesome.
So it's like having a little mini convention, all to yourself with a guaranteed crowd, because it's opening weekend for the Avengers or a new Thor movie or something, so everybody's rushing in.
Yeah, I think that's a great way. It's that creativity to be able to where the people, and how can I get their eyes on this book, my book, And I think that's especially now with all the weird stuff, that might be one of the positive things that comes out of this, is people are getting a little more creative with where they are and how they are and what they do to be able to get their books out to more eyeballs, because more eyeballs is always better than less eyeballs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
You want to make people aware of what you got going on.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, why don't you plug everything you have and give everybody all your contact info for the social medias and
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at David Whalen, and then there's a link to correcthandedcomics.com, and there's a link there, Shop Now button, to my Amazon author page that has digital and print of all my books. You can find a few of the books on Comixology. I'm testing the waters there to see if I don't get lost in the shuffle, and you can find all of the links to all of my books at correcthandedcomics.com. A novel, The Last Ride to Tyburn, if you like Westerns. Our first one-shot, Shady Lady, 24-page noir thriller. So if you like things like Frank Sinatra, Suddenly, or Lady in the Wet Cement, you'll like that. Or if you like monster movies, our 100-page plus graphic novel, The Loved Ones, about the children of classic movie monsters hunting their parents. You can find Volume 1 and Volume 2 and Volume 3. I haven't got my hard copy of Volume 3 yet. I wish that I had it, but I don't. Of The Offspring, collecting issues 1 through 13. You can find all of that on correcthandedcomics.com. Don't get left out.
Get that stuff today. And depending on where you're watching us, Facebook or YouTube, you can find the website in the show notes, either up above or down below.
Awesome.
So I want to thank you once again for coming on and chatting with us tonight, and wish you and yours a merry holiday season.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate you having me on. Happy Festivus.
For the rest of us. So make sure you check out David's stuff at Correct Handed Comics. The link for the website is right in the show notes, like I said. And until next time, this is Will for Creators Outlet.